everyone, and welcome. It is Tuesday, noon Eastern time, and my name is Barbie Winterbottom, and I welcome you all to the table. As a quick reminder, the show is called The Table because I have been working in corporate America for over 20 years, specifically in the HR and people space. And for my entire career, I've heard about folks within the HR space clamoring for a seat at the table, especially women, to have our voices heard. So I decided it was time to stop waiting and build my own table and invite each one of you and our amazing guests to claim their seat and use their voices and share their stories with you. So I welcome you here to the table. I would also like to quickly thank our sponsor, Daily Pay. I never know where to point because everything is in mirror, so forgive me. But thank you, Daily Pay, for being such an amazing sponsor of our show and a wonderful partner. If you're not familiar with Daily Pay, I encourage you to check them out. Daily Pay provides a product which is essentially free to employers and allows your employees to access any earned but unpaid wages at any time through an app on their phone. It's amazing. And they're getting ready to launch a new feature, which is truly a game changer. So if you'd like more information about Daily Pay, feel free to reach out to me. I'd be more than happy to have a one-on-one conversation with you or direct you over to their amazing team to give you more information there. So now I get to introduce our amazing guest. I love all of our guests. I truly say, I'm excited for each week, and it's true. But I have been waiting for this guest for months, and not because he wasn't gracious enough to agree, but he's incredibly busy. So I have invited Luke Manton to join us. And if you haven't followed Luke or you're not sure of who he is, I encourage you to absolutely check him out on LinkedIn, check out his website. With that, I'm going to invite Luke to the stage and we are going to hear about his story. Welcome. I am so happy to have you here. And Luke and I did a very brief pre-show connection. And I shared with him that I'm not in my normal office space today, which if you follow me, this is not where I normally sit. I'm on site with a client and I left my computer glasses at home. So I can barely see. You know what? We adapt. It's one of the 5 imperatives, right? We adapt and we are agile. So that is what we are doing. So thank you, Luke, for being gracious with me today.
Thank you.
Welcome. So I will do a brief intro and then we're just going to get into it. So Luke is the founder and I'm assuming CEO of Manton Executives, which is a virtual assistant and social media management organization. And Luke founded this company about a year and a half ago. And it was in the middle of COVID. So I'd love to start with the beginning of your story. You might notice that Luke is whistling and has some, erratic movements, and those are called tics. Luke has Tourette's, and if you're unfamiliar with Tourette's, it's a neuro diversity, and well, you can explain it way better than I can. I've known lots of folks with Tourette's, but so let's start with what is Tourette's and how did you get where you are and how did this all evolve for you?
Fucking hell. So Tourette's is a neurological disorder. It's essentially like the most basic way I describe it because I've had it described to me in depth and I still don't understand myself. It's just your brain is constantly firing signals. You think about fucking hell, like lifting your arm. It fires the signal to do that in a neurotypical person. But for someone with Tourette's, those signals fire constantly, whether you want them to or not. So your brain is constantly telling your body to like shake its head to say a certain word, to repeat a phrase, bollocks. And there's no pre-thought to it. And I say to everybody, I'm just as surprised by what comes out of my mouth as anyone else. Because there's absolutely no way of knowing what it's going to be or how I'm going to move. I think I've got used to seeing certain things and knowing that a certain tick would happen. For an example, it happens every time without fail. If I pick up 2 drinks at the same time, I'll tick and shout cheers and bang them together every time without fail. So you just kind of learn to adapt in that way.
Wow. Okay.
Fucking hell. So I haven't always had Tourette's. I about 4 years ago got incredibly sick. And there was a swelling in my brain. After a seizure, a mass was found in my brain, which turned out to be nothing too bad. But from the swelling and the seizures and things, damage was already done. And yeah, I was left with Tourette's as a parting gift from that illness. The process of I was only diagnosed with Tourette's about 3 years ago, because the diagnosis process is, because it's still so misunderstood, is that you just fucking hell have to have a number of ticks for a calendar year from date to date. So for an entire year, I had no idea what was happening to me, why it was happening to me, but I just had to wait it out and see what happens.
Okay, so you have to have so many ticks within a period of time for them to diagnose you with Tourette's.
Yeah, so it has to be. It has to be, I think, at least 5 physical ticks and a mixture of vocal ticks every day consecutively for a year.
Okay.
Which, knowing what I know now, is definitely an outdated way of doing it, because I have some days where my ticks are fuck off really quiet. And I think some people can fall into the trap of thinking, today I'm fine. So does that mean that we then start the countdown again from when it kicks up? You know what I mean? So a lot of people who are waiting to be diagnosed are kind of stuck in this cycle of the peaks and troughs of Tourette's and waiting for it to happen fully, almost. It's just a really odd way of doing it. I'm still confused by it.
Well, it does seem rather antiquated when you think about it. Now, is it kind of a sister to epilepsy? Right. I think about that because I had my ex-partner, her son, had a very rare form of epilepsy, and as it progressed, he started manifesting similar tics, and his speech was often interrupted.
Mm-hmm.
And although he didn't have necessarily the uncontrollable outbursts, his brain would not allow him to speak in a neurotypical pattern. And then it progressed into body tics and some other things. So is it a similar disorder?
So Tourette's is just one of many tic disorders. It comes under a huge umbrella.
Okay.
And I think closer related to epilepsy is called FND, which is functional neurological disorder, which almost mirrors Tourette's, but with the addition of additional seizures like epilepsy as well, but a different kind. There's so much to it. Crazy.
Yeah, there's definitely not a one size fits all. It's unique to each individual.
Yeah, so it's so different from person to person. I know people with Tourette's who that their only tic is like volume 10. Like they will shout every tic at the top of their lungs, bollocks. Whereas I know other people who would when you get used to how I talk, fucking hell, you can tell the difference between when I'm talking and a tic. But I also know people with Tourette's whose tics are exactly the same as them talking, same tone, everything. So it's even hard for me to work out what's a tick and what they're actually saying. Ooh.
So interesting. And just everybody who's watching, if you guys have questions or comments, please put them in the comments. We love to hear from folks. If you have questions for Luke, we certainly want to try to address them, but we love as much interaction and engagement as possible. So thank you, Haley. We saw you earlier. We appreciate you being here very much. And whomever is very happy to see Luke, thank you for being here too. Whoever LinkedIn user is, we're thrilled. So I can remember in my life as a teenager, I did a lot of babysitting. And there was this young boy, adolescent, I was babysitting, and I would say around 10 or 11, he started manifesting like the guttural throat sounds and you know, a tick from his head to his shoulder. And I noticed it as his babysitter and brought it to his parents' attention because they had, you know, 4 other kids and, you know, not necessarily always paying attention. And they did. And it was something that he just kind of grew out of it. It was passing, lasted for maybe 6 months or so. And they said it was very common for, especially in boys, as they're growing up, to kind of experience some of this. Is that Tourette's, or is that just a thing that happens as your brain is developing and growing?
So I think it comes, I can't remember exactly which one, but it is, it's still a tic disorder, but it has the potential to develop and essentially become Tourette's. Like, so Tourette's is like a permanent thing, but some people who have it can just wake up one morning and be completely fine, no tics or anything, and then about 6 months later, it's all back again. So it can almost like switch itself off. But yeah, it's crazy.
It is. It is. I can't imagine the journey you've been on, right, in the past 4 years. So prior to having Tourette's and even not being diagnosed, but prior to the symptoms, what was your life like before? And then what did you do, right? I would imagine this has inhibited your ability to find employment or to, you know, live in the world the way you did before. And I can also only imagine the toll it takes on your mental health and all of the things, right? Because your life is now incredibly different than it was before.
Yeah, 100%. It definitely turned my life upside down and sent things in a completely different direction. Before Tourette's, I was like insanely ambitious. I didn't come from the best background, and I knew I always wanted something more than I had. And I knew I had to work to get that. I never wanted to be in a position that my parents found themselves in, where they were struggling for money or things were difficult and we had to miss certain things. So I bent over backwards. I definitely lied my way into jobs that I was completely unqualified for. And I thought I will 100% fake it until I make it. I was super fucking hell, bollocks, shit hell, fuck off. Super confident, and I just thought I learn fast. I'll use what I can. So I got my very first events management job for a 5-star hotel, planning weddings when I was 18. I just turned 18, and I hadn't planned a wedding in my life. Like,
I love it.
And I blagged my way into it somehow. I was studying at university at the time. I kind of succeeded in this area that I I'd applied for anything and everything that I could see with a decent salary at the time.
Right.
So only by chance I ended up in the events industry so long. So, I progressed through that, and I was successful. I kind of went from event manager to events director, and then I was sort of running like festivals and things like this by the end of my events career. And I thought I kind of wanted something a bit more stable, like just hours wise, where I wasn't working constantly. I thought, I wonder what I could get into next. So then I went into practice management on the medical side of things. I don't really know how I ended up in that either, to be honest.
What a complete difference. Yeah.
I just wanted something that was like, I knew was like regular out, because with an events job, you can pretty much sign off all of your weekends in such summer, and so much travel. So yeah, then I settled into practice management, and I was, fucking hell, and I was doing well. I then kind of taken over because I worked for, I worked for a corporate, so they owned, I think, 102 practices at the time across the UK, dental. And then I took over the marketing for overall. And I did that as well as my practice management job. So things were going perfectly well for me. I was happy where I was. Then this seemed to happen so quickly. I thought I was getting headaches from being stressed from work, or just tired. Fucking hell, bollocks. I did the typical male thing of feeling like shit and thinking, it'll go. Like, right. But when it's getting to the point where you're then having a nosebleed or something 2 or 3 times a day, you think, I'm gonna probably have to sort something out.
Yeah.
So I'd actually booked a doctor's appointment, and then in like during this whole short time period, I had a seizure, completely out of the blue. It never happened before, and after, I couldn't speak. I couldn't engage the muscles in my throat to make them move, and I thought that was it for me. And I saw different doctors and things, and they couldn't understand why. But at the time, my head wouldn't stay still, so I was constantly flicking my head around. They weren't sure if I'd like damaged my vocal cords somehow. Fucking hell. Yeah, and it like I was completely lost. So I was using a text to speech on my phone, and then trying to adjust to what life was then like without being able to speak. Mm-hmm. And I was always mentally, like, as scary as it was, it had a huge effect on me because I was so used to being the one that had the quick one-liner or the joke or just the sassy comment to make someone laugh. And suddenly when you're having to like type out what you want to say, it kind of loses its effect.
Yeah, the timing's just a little off on that, right?
But then gradually it just sort of my speech was started to come back. I can make different sounds. I went to see a speech therapist like a lot. I think by the end of it, she probably was thinking, "Oh Christ, leave me alone."
Right.
But yeah, like my stammer was then on every single word when I eventually got my speech back, and I really had to think about what I was saying. Mm-hmm. I was so guilty at the time of just giving up halfway through a sentence because, number one, it was a lot of effort to say what I wanted to say, And number two, it would take me that long that I'd, oh, fucking hell, just forget what I was saying. So,
Yeah.
So I like my partner George. He'd be waiting there for me to finish, and I'm like, oh, fuck it, like
Whatever.
yeah. I'm like, no. I was like, next, and and yeah, and then as well as the head ticks during this period, I then developed like an arm tick, and then I still remember the first vocal tick I had. I sat down for dinner with George, and I said, ouch, as if something had hurt me. It was so strange because for me, it was like I was hearing somebody else that say it, but I knew it was me. And it was the first word I'd said in months without a stammer or a stutter, because that doesn't affect words that are ticks, which I could never really get my head around. It was so odd. And then, yeah, that almost like opened the floodgates then, and fucking hell. And then anything and everything would come out. And then after speaking to the doctors from that, they were like, oh, we know what this is. No.
Now they know what it is. Yeah. Wow.
But,
I can't even imagine the amount of adaptation you and George have had to make in your life, right? Because the work you did, I'm not sure, but I would imagine it would impact your ability to work in certain scenarios, right? And depending on who you're around and what could make things worse. So I believe I've seen a couple of your videos where you talk about like when you're stressed or your anxiety is high, the tics get worse. When you're calm and feel safe, it tends to subside.
Yeah.
So when you realized your diagnosis and that this is going to be your life going forward, and it doesn't mean that it won't get better or maybe even take a turn for the worse depending on what's going on in your life and as you age, you were looking at how do I make a living? What do I do? Someone incredibly ambitious, right? And wanting to make your place in the world. How did you decide what to do next? Because what I want our audience, we have an audience primarily of HR practitioners, people who work in the space, and we focus a lot on diversity, equity, and inclusion. And rightfully so, there's a tremendous amount of focus on race, sexual orientation, gender identity, all of the front runners, as I call them, the front runners of D&I. But your experience is also part of what makes diversity. And so, what did you face now in the workplace? And our unknown LinkedIn user is actually John Carlson, who is an expert in the D&I space. So, John, welcome. Thank you for being here. And his question is, we don't always feel comfortable advocating for ourselves in the workplace. So how did you overcome that, or did you?
Well, I struggled hugely. So I eventually went back to work, and like I was on a sort of like half day plan for like my like area directors had never seen anything like this before, and I was like, well, neither have I. Like, I don't understand it either. And I think I was there on a reduced sort of time limit. Even though mentally I wanted to just do it, I'm still capable of doing what I always did. And yeah, then what one day it was decided for me that I couldn't do that job anymore. And then that was it. And for me, I think this is where the mental health side of things come in, because I've done so well in this job, and within a month, I suddenly don't have it anymore. More, and like it almost felt as well that there was like no support from that side of things. It was just like, oh, Luke's broken now, let's switch him out with somebody else, which in a way is kind of exactly what happened.
Yeah.
I appreciate I wasn't suited to part of my job anymore, but there was still a huge part of it I could do, and I'm not angry about it anymore. But at the time, I just thought, how could you do that to a person that puts so much in, and it's almost like kicking them while they're down, you know. And then the experience of trying to get hired after was horrific.
I can't imagine. I bet. I think people don't understand it. And I think a lot of folks, when they see the stammering and hearing the stammering, seeing the visual tics, there's a lot of assumptions that people make, right? You're irreverent, you're callous, your intellect is impacted, right? There's an assumption that because you have the stammer that you're not smart, and they're not tied together, right? Your intellect is what it always was, if not higher, because you've continued to learn. But the way in which you execute your work is different, and the type of work you can succeed in may be different. What would support have looked like to you in those moments when you were going through this? And I want our employees and our employers and our HR folks to hear this. Like, what would have helped, even if the decision had remained the same? Was there a better way that it could have been handled, or what would have helped you feel supported?
I think maybe one person actually asking me how I what was, or what could be different. Sorry, just
no, it's fine.
The kind of whole thing was like, it moved so quickly, and I was suddenly out of the picture. But I could have done the marketing role as a standalone role. And I remember thinking this, and I thought that wasn't even considered. There was no considered option. It was just like, there's a problem, get rid, or like just replace. I think just talking to the person about what would you be comfortable doing, and then but also still respecting that person as an intelligent person, because suddenly the ideas I came up with were just seemed like everybody thought they were not nonsense. Like exactly how you say people just went from respecting me for what I did to suddenly thinking I don't have a clue and I can't make a simple decision for my set self. And nobody considered any options. There was never any conversation about what can we do to make this easy for you, or to make it so you don't have to leave or can still have a job. And there was just none of that. And I tell people constantly, and they're like, how can we make things easier? I'm like, treat them as a person, not a condition. I don't know how many times I say the same thing, but people stopped seeing me as an intelligent adult person, and literally just saw a disability, and that was it.
And we're so much more than that, right? One of my dear friends, Natasha Bowman, I don't know if Natasha's watching or not, but Natasha shared with me on the show and with everyone on LinkedIn that she was diagnosed with bipolar disorder, and she had attempted to take her life. And she's an extremely successful HR consultant. She and I do a lot of the same work. And she said the same thing, like she's lost family members because her family in her culture, they don't believe that, mental health and neuro disorders are real, that you should be able to just overcome that, right? And you should be able to just plow through it and work harder and be better. And the reality is that's not the way it always works. And two, it doesn't define you. It's a part of who you are, right? And she and I had this conversation one day where we're like, okay, we're both women, we're both over 40. She's Black, I'm white, I'm gay, she's straight, I'm overweight. She says she's overweight, but I don't think she is. She has bipolar disorder. I have ADD. Like, we started just listing all of the things that made us who we are, and how many of those variables exist in all of us. But it doesn't define us. It's just a dimension. It's a part of who we are, and it informs the way we see the world. But it doesn't narrow the scope of our humanity. And I think that that's incredibly important for people to understand. And I love what you said. Just ask me. It's a simple question. Just ask me what would help, or what's working, what's not working, or what do you know, or what can I do? And we're so afraid because we center ourselves in the conversation, and it makes me uncomfortable. So I'm not going to do it. And I think that's just a really pretty excuse, right?
Yeah.
Being uncomfortable is okay.
I think even the emotional impact is underestimated. If someone had just asked me at work, like, are you okay doing this? Because it was never appreciated that this was such a huge change in my life, and it was suddenly like, oh, now you're out. So I think, Christ, I've already lost so much, and these people who I worked with that I thought were friends, essentially, and now I don't know if they were worried about saying the wrong thing or anything, but it just seemed that their idea of that was to just cut ties and just not say a word. So, like, as well as then going through this whole thing, losing my job, learning to talk again, to Tourette's, all of that, I then suddenly don't have that friend group anymore. Like, that support network is now gone. And I think it would have been so much easier if they'd have just asked and just spoke to me and just treated me like a person.
Right. And I think I've heard you say that, just talk to me. And it's maybe a different conversation than we had before, but I'm here for it, and let's do it. I want to talk about the physical strain this places on your body. Again, I had that experience with the young man who had very severe epilepsy. Post seizure, he would sleep for hours. He was in physical pain. And I don't know if people recognize the physical pain that a condition like, or a disorder like Tourette can cause because of the constant movement and the uncontrollable movement and the constant activity. Right? Your brain is in constant motion. And so how does that manifest itself to you now physically? Do you feel pain? Like, do you feel like you're constantly in pain or constantly exhausted? Or have you been able to overcome some of that?
I'm tired a lot of the time. I have like a pillow, like neck brace that thing that I'll just put on sometimes just to keep my head a bit more secure than usual, because my neck, oh God, by the end of like a long day is so sore. But it can get bad. I've dislocated my shoulder with a tick, one tick that was just badly timed, and it sort of popped my shoulder out of place. And like the physical strain is insane. And when people ask me about like sleep and things, I would just tell them, like, imagine trying to sleep while you're still moving and still talking, because it doesn't. Like, I'll be, say, about to drift off to sleep, and then I'll whistle and shake my head, and then suddenly that's like, go back to square one again. There's like there's the medication option for sleeping wise, as with everything, but I feel like if I need to, I will, but most of the time I won't, because nobody likes feeling that crappy hangover kind of feeling every morning. So I think I've kind of got it to a good place now where I'm so used to it that sleep-wise I'm okay, but yeah, you still get the constant like aches and stuff like that from physical wise. After like a tick seizure or something, I will have to like sleep for. I always tell George, oh, I'll nap for half an hour, and I know full well I'm not getting up for the next 5 hours if I shut my eyes.
Right. And have you and George been able to kind of manage through this? Does it affect his ability to sleep? Does it, like, I would imagine he feels very protective. And when you go out socially now, I'm sure you have your friends group, right? Your friends who get you and know you, but there's this whole big world who doesn't know you. Well, they might now because you're famous, but are you now more comfortable going out in social settings as long as George is with you, or do you go out on your own? Like, how does that look like for your life?
So for quite a while, fucking hell, I didn't go out at all. If a delivery arrived and I was the only person home, if George wasn't here, I would just miss the delivery because I wouldn't even answer the door. But it's only been in the last couple of months that I've gone out on my own. Whereas before it really would bother me, and the idea petrified me. But yeah, recently I've gone out, like I've gone and done like the food shop or something random like that people would take for granted, and I've done that on my own, which has been a massive thing for me.
Yeah.
But I still prefer to go out with George because he's so chilled and so laid back, and I think it's inbuilt in him to be protective as well. So he's a police officer here. So he's always been one to like follow the rules, be super respectful, and I think he just has a way of like explaining things to people. Whereas that's my biggest issue when I go out. If I say something super offensive, fucking hell, bollocks, which I have to people who don't understand it. If I then go to explain in that panicked moment, my tics will just amp up, my stammer amps up, and I can barely get a word out. So I just have George to like
the buffer, right?
Step in and just explain. But now I'm okay with going out on my own. Probably still certain places I wouldn't, but yeah, for a while absolutely not, but now for sure.
Amazing. The amount of courage and vulnerability you have to have on a daily basis is truly off the charts, right? Amazing. So now let's go to this, not the so what of it all, but what you've done since, because you've gone in a very short period of time, when we think about it, from living what people would say is a quote unquote typical or normal life, which I hate the word normal, but that is a common word, to having the illness, contracting the disease, getting Tourette, or it manifesting itself, losing your job, and then figuring out what's my plan B. Aside from having, as you say, exceptional eyebrows, I don't know that people are going to pay you for that. So you had to figure out a way to generate income, right? And so, which you've done, and you're smashing it clearly. But how did you figure out this space? And now you're almost like you're the voice of Tourette's, you're the face of Tourette's for so many people, which I think is amazing and very brave of you. But take us on that journey of how you started your company and now where you are.
So I, after losing my job, I thought I'm absolutely not staying out of work, and I've been introduced to through Tourette's Action Charity to a few other people with Tourette's. And I remember being so surprised that we had this like Zoom call every week, and how many of them didn't work. like all of them on my first call, nobody had a job and they all had the same story. Oh, we couldn't get one, so why bother? Oh, and I spoke to my neurologist about it, and he gave me a list of like state benefits I could claim, and he was like, yeah, you'll struggle to find a job. This is what you can claim a month. You may as well do that. And I remember thinking, I said to George, I think this is the biggest part of the problem, because if I wasn't so headstrong with what I thought, someone in that neurologist position that knows more about this condition than the rest of us, if he's telling me that you can't get a job, or he's telling everyone else with Tourette's, you cannot get a job, this is all you can do. How many people are going to believe it? Because everyone else would right. or did. And I thought, there is absolutely no way that my life is going to be claiming what is on that sheet of paper, and that's it. I thought I worked so hard to learn what I've learned to get where I got, and to have the things that I have. And I thought, I'm not throwing that all away because someone's given me some shit advice. So I tried to get hired in so many places, and so fuck off bollocks, and so many job roles, and it didn't happen. And while this was going on, a few of my friends had started or were carrying on with their own companies. There was one that was had started a dog walking company, another one a cake baking company, and a couple of times during this they'd message me and they were like, oh, you know about this kind of thing, like how could I post about this, or when should I post? And I was giving them advice, and it was suddenly like a light bulb moment of thinking, like, I wonder if I could do that, but as a job. And the whole virtual PA thing came up initially because I was still pretty low on confidence when I started it, and I thought it was just a way of me working, earning money, and being able to fuck off bollocks, be able to hide behind the scenes. I thought, I'm not going to need to speak to people every day. I can just get my list, do my work, job done. So yeah, I started the company, and as I started it, I'd been talking to Leah Turner, and at first I never told her I had Tourette's, and she wanted to ring me about something. I was helping her with some additional hours that she needed, I think, for like typing, and I was like, oh shit, like how am I gonna get out of this call? So I told her.
You didn't.
Yeah. I told her, and she was like, oh, it's perfectly fine. And then we got speaking about Tourette's like for the next couple of weeks, and she'd never met anyone with Tourette's. And funnily enough, before it happened to me, I hadn't either. Fuck off, bollocks. And yeah, she kind of, like, with a few bits of encouragement, convinced me to make my very first video for LinkedIn. And I think it was about 1 minute and 6 seconds long. It took me about 100 takes to get it, and it was literally just me with my phone on my desk, just saying, I'm going to make some more videos about Tourette's. And I remember thinking, if this bombs, I'm just going to delete it and pretend I never made it. But
I remember that video, and I was like, what a brave person. Like,
it was absolutely crazy, the response to that, and people wanted to know. And then since that video, I've been fully booked with a waiting list since that video went out, and we're a year and a half in now. I've employed someone full time. I work with another subcontractor for design, and I still have a waiting list of people, and it's absolutely crazy. And as well as that, I'm now being asked to speak at events about Tourette's, and I almost, in a way, I kind of sometimes feel I think it's fucking hell, like the imposter syndrome thing, thinking like, oh, or I haven't had it my whole life, like what do I know about it compared to other people? But then, then I remind myself, like, I've still been through it. It still is my daily life, and fucking hell, piss off. And the part I think I like sharing the most is that I've seen what life is like from both sides. Like I went from being treated just like everybody else to then spoken to like I'm stupid, overlooked. Even something as simple as like paying for your shopping, and they'll look at George and fucking hell and tell George the amount, but I'm the one stood there holding my wallet waiting to pay. Right. And like small things like that, and I just thought, I hate the thought of someone being treated the way I was treated. So if I can change that for one person at least, then this has kind of been worth it, if that makes sense.
Absolutely. And I think it's huge that you do have that kind of pre and post experience. I have quite a few friends in the trans community, and one of my friends was born with female sex organs and identifies as male and has gone through transition. And what's been amazing with his journey is whenever he comes to visit, we talk about his experience, and he's like, you have no idea the difference between living in this world as a woman and living in this world as a man. And he was like, the difference is real. And he's like, I walk through rooms and people move out of my way. People, yes, sir, no, sir. But that doesn't happen. Like, women navigate the world by moving out of people's way, right? We shrink our space so that we don't have to have those ugly confrontations or those kind of standoff moments. And he shares with me now, he's like, yeah, I don't have to do that anymore because people accept me as a man. So having that before and after experience really can inform the world about the differences, because if you don't know the difference, it's hard to articulate, right? Because you only know the one dimension of what you're living. So I think it's a gift, although it may be hard, right? I also think about the flip side of the gift of knowing the before and after is also, perhaps longing for the moments when things were a little more simple. And you didn't have to always think through, five steps ahead. Right? You want to go to the grocery store. So what are all the things I need to do to prepare to go to the grocery store that you never would have thought about before? Right? I would imagine that's part of it as well.
Yeah, I have days where I'll just everyone has those emotional days, and I don't shy away from admitting that I'll burst into tears some days. Like, it's been a bad tick day, I'm stressed, and I say to George, like, I wish I could go back just to how things were before, or even just for like a day, just a 24-hour period of just what it was like before. And like I've missed events, I've had to leave things that I've gone to, and I do get pissed off, or I've broken something. I've broken something with a tick, or I've snapped my laptop before with a tick, and I just think, oh god, the added stress of stuff like this just was never in my life before. Like, now, for example, like my keyboard is glued to my desk because I'm constantly
knocking it off
around. My lamp is attached to my desk as well, and it's just, stuff like this that you don't have to think about normally, or when I'm cooking, I love to cook, and I always have. But I like say to my friends, I was like, imagine trying to do the type of food that I cook, and I'm always cooking something bit big, but I can't cut things with a normal knife. It's like a stupid bloody plastic like toddler knife that thing that's like rounded on the edge, so there's no like stab point to it or anything like that, and things just get a bit more difficult. And I think sometimes it's easy to fall in fuck off bollocks bullsh fall into the trap of thinking like, this is unfair, this is shit, why is everything against me, I've had enough, and just stay like that. And I have to mentally pull myself out and be like, look, this is what we've done since, this is why it's happened, just make it work. And I do wonder sometimes, am I going to get to that point where I think, you know what, I can't be asked doing this anymore. Like, but yeah, there's definitely a lot of reminders about what life was like before, and it's just those small things which are only small things until you put the emphasis on them becoming a big thing, and then I'm suddenly like, I hate cooking, everything's shit, I'm never doing anything.
Right. Well, I think you and George have probably found your way to humor in a lot of this, right? Because if you don't, it will the weight would be too heavy to bear, I would imagine. Yeah. So I remember you had made a video, I don't know if George was in it with you, probably. But he was teasing you and playing games with you because he knew you were getting ready to go on camera. So he would say some things knowing it would get stuck. Yeah. And so, so I think about that because I was like, ooh, should I start playing around with them before in the prep show to see what? And I'm like, no, I'm not going to do that. But I can remember that particular video. It was something about penguins and beach balls or something. Yeah. And I laughed so hard because you were like, damn it, I can't believe he did that to me, because it was just one of the things that kept coming out. And in my mind, he was on the other side of the camera just laughing hysterically. Yeah. Right. So I think that in anything, like, we have to get to the point of finding humor in it and not taking it all so heavy and making it a little bit lighter. Because somewhere, and I don't know, maybe I'm just naive and you know, the Pollyanna side of me, which very few people would ever describe me that way, but is that, you know, it's hard. It's harder than any of us can imagine. But perhaps the why me of it all is because, you know, the universe, if you believe in God or an entity or any sort of divine anything or universal energy, said you're the strongest one who can handle it and help pave the way for others. Because that's essentially what you're doing now, right? You're speaking on behalf of folks who struggle with this disorder so that they can be seen and heard in the world and not just, you know, stepped aside. And all marginalized groups of any kind need that kind of voice and that face. You just happen to have an exceptionally gorgeous face who people will watch and pay attention to. And we can't deny that that's helpful, right? It is very helpful, you know, and use it. It's a gift. Like, lean into it, right? You could do, and you are doing amazing things. I am excited to see what's next for you. So I want to share with folks, if any of you are looking for support, virtual assistant support, social media management support, you can reach out to Luke and his team at mantonexecutives.com or on LinkedIn. He's quite accessible there. Luke does sit in the UK. So, but he is able to support, he and his teams are able to support folks globally. So I want to make sure everybody is aware of that. So I try to be sensitive to time. So I want to ask some rapid fire questions because we could talk for hours. We could talk. There's so much I want to know, and some of it is probably show appropriate, and some of it probably isn't. But that's okay. I'll do rapid fire questions. So I like to ask people just silly things like vanilla or chocolate.
Oh, chocolate.
Okay. Beach or mountains?
Mountains.
I would have picked you for a beach guy. Okay.
I know most people would. Most people would, I think. But
Yeah.
I hate sunbathing, and I hate lying in the sun and things. So.
And that's why your skin is gorgeous. See, there you go. Sweet or salty?
Sweet.
Okay, cool. See, we all learned something. So we have to send you a gift basket of sweet things with a picture of a mountainside. Right? So, no, Luke, I have so much esteem, and I just am amazed at all you're doing, and the approach you take with this is admirable. I don't know how many people would have this sense of character and sense of self to blaze this trail and build this, thriving organization that you have built. Obviously, George is a big part of your life and your support system, but you've done this. And I think it's incredibly admirable. And I can't wait to see where you go next and how we as a community can support you. Right? There are millions of people, hundreds of millions of people on this platform. And, we need to bring more awareness around these elements of diversity, equity, and inclusion. Because like you said, it could have taken one person to ask what you need, one person to reach out and say, well, what part of this work do you feel you can still do? And how can we make that work? But instead, they just scrapped the whole thing and said, Luke's broken now, right? And that's really sad. But now look at you, right? You're doing what you love on your own terms, and you're building something, a legacy that will live far beyond, the work you're doing today. So I want to thank you on behalf of everyone. Hi, Sam. Good to see you. I don't know. Do you have anything that you'd like to leave the audience with?
I think my biggest takeaway, or what I would like my biggest takeaway to be, is that it's fine to, when you meet someone different, to notice the difference, see the difference, but don't change the way you treat them because of that. I know how I was treated before, and I know how I treated now. It's shit. The difference sometimes. So just treat everyone as a human, and you can't go wrong.
Agreed, right? We can be sensitive to what people need from us without treating them like an infant. Right? You're incredibly capable, incredibly intelligent, creative, driven, all of the things that you've always been. You just now have this additional challenge. So it didn't take anything away from you. It just added to you. And if we could look at things like that, imagine how far we can go. Because it didn't take anything away from you other than perhaps some things that you aren't comfortable doing anymore, but it didn't diminish you. Right? Yeah, exactly. All right. Well, thank you, everyone. We are right at 1 o'clock, and I do try to be as punctual as I can and respect Luke's time, especially because it's 5 hours later or so. I don't know if it's 5 or 6 or wherever you happen to be, but
5.
Is it 5? Yeah. Thank you so very much. I am thrilled to follow your journey. I will continue to hound you now, as I always have. Poor y'all don't even know how many messages I have sent him trying to make this happen, trying to work with him, but he's got this amazing waiting list, which I'm thrilled for. So, but reach out, be the support I know this amazing community can be, and help other people who are entering your lives with some sort of struggle that maybe you don't know anything about. But as Luke said, just treat them like a human. That's what we need to do. And imagine where we can go if everybody just simply lived by that principle. So thank you all. Have a wonderful rest of your Tuesday. Luke, thank you so very much. Again, anyone who wants to reach Luke can do so by going to his website or his LinkedIn profile. Thank you all. Have a wonderful rest of your day.
Thank you.